Okay, so I had some Canadian viewers feeling a little left out and, talking a lot about U.S. situations and not enough about Canadian situations. And we're going to have a little look at the 2019 elections coming up in Canada for who's going to be our Prime Minister. Okay, and now I want to get names right here, but I know there's three main potential runners. And the NDP, now let's see, let's make sure I get this right here. That would be Jagmeet Singh. And I don't want to offend, so I hope I said that right. He's a young man running for the NDP, and I'm going to say young man because they're all men and they're all youthful, apparently. It's one of the most youthful races, apparently, is what they're saying. And for the Conservative, so the Tories, their fellow is, so far anyway, looking like Andrew Scheer. Okay, I hope I said that right. And the Liberal leader, of course, we know, and our Prime Minister right now is Justin Trudeau. Okay, so we're going to look, first we're going to go, let's look at the Tories first, the Conservative Party. We're going to say, how do they come out? We're going to look at it, each individual, and I'm only saying the three because, that's usually what happens in Canada. There's those three main. I know there's other people running, but usually ends up between those three, the NDP, the Conservatives, and the Liberals. So we're going to go with that. We're going to say, how do the Tories do, and or otherwise known as the Conservatives? How do they do in the 2019 elections? Let's have a look. For Canada, Prime Minister, how did the Tories do? Okay, so now they look like they're going with a really different approach here. And maybe the youthfulness is what we're seeing as different because a Page of Wands is youthful, and it could even be they're all in brand new territory. So I got a feeling here, the Tories, we might all need to educate ourselves as Canadians on what they're all about, because according to my cards, they've really changed their structure and format. Okay, and I don't know if anyone follows Canadian politics who isn't a Canadian, but that's good news because they were, running us down some pretty interesting paths there for some years. People were not happy with them. And now it looks like they're taking a really different approach. Okay, so we've got the Seven of Wands. We're going to have to re-educate. I'm going to re-educate myself on what that is because they're in all new territory and they're going in directions that could be very fresh and new for them anyway. Okay, so in the past, what brought them to this would be the Five of Wands, which is, this is a frustrated card. I think the party has been and is suffered some big frustrations and inner battles. This card is all about inner battles and struggles and people really fighting for who's going to lead this party and, what is it going to look like. So certainly that's going on now and it's been going on. Okay, and so by the time, now because we're asking about 2019, we're going to jump, and this row is going to be about going into the election. By that time, things have settled down, it looks like, because we're predicting here, they're on to a platform that they are feeling very confident about, but it is very new territory even for them, and a little outside the box, because the Seven of Wands is a little outside the box. So they're trying some things on, and that's interesting for a party that calls themselves a Conservative Party. So that should be interesting. Okay, and here we've got the Four of Wands here. Now the Four of Wands in the middle. So the Four of Wands is, to me, the atmosphere. I feel like the elections will be really unpredictable with that Four of Wands. It feels like this Conservative government here running and how they present themselves are going to be very optimistic and excited because it feels like it's very unpredictable. Okay, with that Four of Wands, and it could be anybody's win here. So things are looking really unpredictable. And then we've got the Magician as the outcome. Let's see here. And the Knight of Wands and the Four. So the Magician. Wow. Okay, so the Magician is interesting because as a future card, and what is the outcome, the Magician doesn't really tell us. Actually, it says it's still really up in the air. Okay, and it's all dependent on something that's going on here. It looks like in the next 4 months. Something that's going on in the next 4 months will really determine if this party has a real shot at getting themselves a prime minister in place. Okay, and it feels like what they do with the first 4 months of the year with their party and how they present is going to be very telling with do they win. So I'm going to say they got a really good shot at winning, but it is still undetermined here because some things have to fall into place. So that might be frustrating to hear, but sometimes cards talk like that. Let's pull 2 clarifiers, see what else we can get. Okay, now this is interesting. We've got the Queen of Pentacles with the Devil. So there's a woman, interesting, playing a big role here in what has to fall into place for this party to do well. So maybe this has to do with the women vote in Canada. Maybe this party doesn't have the women vote. Maybe there's issues with how the women in Canada see this party. So I feel like they're going to have to really go a long way in the first 4 months. Here's what I'm going to predict. They're going to have to really go a long way in the first 4 months to change the way the party is seen by women for them to win this election. Okay, let's have a look. Now we're going to look at the Liberals, led by Justin Trudeau, who is our current Prime Minister. Okay, we're going to look at how is he going to do. Is he even running? We're not even sure yet. I don't think we know for sure if he is. It remains to be seen. Let's have a look. Okay, Justin Trudeau's Liberals. Let's see how the Liberals do and just what we can get around that. Okay, now the Liberal Party is coming up with the archetype, the Nine of Pentacles. Now the Nine of Pentacles is very independent, interesting, and if it's coming up describing a party, I almost feel like they're doing their own thing. You know, they're doing their own thing and maybe not always checking in with the entire country. And Canada is a very large and diverse country with so many different, provinces that feel really differently about things, I have a feeling here this party, the way they're presenting in my cards anyway, is that they are doing their own thing and they're going in really independently with independent ideas, and maybe they need to touch base with their people. Okay, now with the Chariot in the background, okay, the Chariot's a bit reckless. Like we talked about this a couple of readings ago, but the Chariot's a bit of a reckless card, and possibly they've been a little reckless, being as Justin Trudeau's and Liberals have been leading this country. And for how long has it been again?
That the Liberals have been in power, just the last 2 years.
2 years, right. So the last 2 years. So we have the Chariot here. Maybe they've been seen to be a little reckless with what they've been doing, okay, because that's an interesting card to have in the past, okay. But they do still have a really good base, okay, with that in their atmosphere. They've got the Three of Pentacles, so they still have some, maybe, 3 of our biggest provinces might even be really supportive of them, something like that. But there are a lot of provinces in Canada. Okay, oh boy. Okay, now the outcome is the Five of Pentacles. So the Five of Pentacles is falling a little short. It's a 50% card. So they have a chance. I wouldn't say they're absolutely out, but I feel like a lot of it's going to depend on how, if they adjust. What I'm seeing here is they may need to have another sort of approach for this to really pull off a win here, for this party to pull off a win. We've got the Five of Pentacles, and there's a setback to that card, and there's also it's a 50% chance. When I see it, I call it a 50% chance when we're asking a question like this. Yeah, they're vulnerable to losing, frankly, but I wouldn't say they're losing for sure, but they're going to have to really change how they're appealing, you know, to the whole of Canada, I think, before they could really be assured a win here. They're vulnerable here. And possibly their leader is creating that vulnerability, maybe the way Justin Trudeau's seen right now. Okay, so we've got, yeah, and there's even a real angry whole, you know, group here, it looks like, that's going to really hurt this party's chances here. There's a lot of anger around. I would even say this might be the West here. The Western provinces looking at this, who I even feel like before 2019 elections come around, there could even be a province or two that are threatening to leave Canada altogether over you know, how things have been run here. Because this card as well, there's some really unhappy provinces, I'm thinking here, that completely disagree here with what's been going on and could feel really unrepresented entirely. Okay, so unless they really change what they're doing and how they're approaching, this is a tough win for this bunch here. Okay, now let's look at the NDP. Okay, let's see. It is interesting that there's 3 potential runners and they're all male. I think they could have threw a woman in there.
Who's going to throw a woman in there?
Yeah, I don't know which one of them, but somebody should have. That's my opinion. Yeah, like, you know, just to be progressive. Okay, let's see. Oh boy, so the NDP, okay, they're looking a little worse for wear here in this upcoming election here. Being described as the 9 of Wands, feels like they've had a rough go. Maybe the whole party's been under a lot of stress. This is tough looking here, right the way the party is looking right now, it looks really tough. They do have some new inspiration and inspired ideas, you know, and they might rally here, and we're going to look at what's the outcome. But right now, I feel like there's a lot of anger even towards them, and an atmosphere of dissatisfaction all around. Now, the outcome's pretty good. We got the Knight of Pentacles, so I feel like they might do okay. I don't get them for a win with that Knight of Pentacles, but they could get some representation, and maybe, you know, even a decent amount of representation here in the government. So I'm going to say they've got a few, you know, and now overviewing with that King of Wands and the 2 of Wands, I feel like they've got somebody, you know, up and coming, and some of their people that feel like they will make some headway for their party. I don't think they're going to win here, but it feels like they could do decent, and they could even make some headway, considering how they got sort of a backward start here. So within the year, they could actually have one very charismatic in particular leader and or person that's you know, a spokesperson for their party, and that person could go a long way to helping them show a little better here, but I wouldn't call them in for a win or even a 50% chance. So it looks like it's between the Tories and the Liberals, and they feel like, you know, if the Tories can really appeal more to the women and you know, environmental issues and things like that, I got a feeling, you know, if they could take a really unique and different approach, they might have a shot at it. But it looks neck and neck to me with the Liberals right now.